This is teacher narrator Syson presenting to you my lesson plan for my lesson, which is for senior 1 East in particular. It is on 14th February 2022. Time is from 9:30 up to 10:10, duration of 40 minutes, and I'm teaching 76 students. The theme for the lesson is diversity of living things. Topic is cells, and generally the competency for the topic and theme is the learner should be able to appreciate that the cell is a basic unit of life. The outcome of the lesson is a learner should be able to explain that a cell is a basic unit of life for both living things, that is animal and plants. Generic skills and values, cross-cutting issues and key learning issues or outcomes. All these are included in the system of teaching or the method of teaching that will be indirectly installed in learners as they go on with the lesson. Then the rationale of the lesson. Cells are fundamental units that makes up the organisms, that is the plants and animals. So in absence of these cells, we cannot have an animal or a plant, because it is from an animal cell or plant cell where an animal emanates from, with a combination of a cell to form another, to form a tissue, tissues to form organs, and organs to form systems. And another rationale of this lesson can be in sexual reproduction in plants and animals, there are cells that come into contact to form a zygote, which forms an embryo and later into an organism. And the prerequisite knowledge, the learners already have knowledge about the life processes which occur in organisms, that enables organisms to occur, and these life processes occur in cells. My teaching materials are: a brick act as a cell, because when a brick, you cannot build a wall or a house without starting with one brick. So when I have one brick, it can act as a cell representing one cell. And when I keep on piling, that's when I will have a complete organism representing that. From a brick, that's where we can have a whole house, which is now an organism. Then a chart showing the representation of cells for more understanding. Plant showing that it contains cells. And then a student act as an animals, because they are also made up of cells. Those are my references. And here comes the time per phase for the lesson, activity, and teacher's activity and learner's activity. In teacher's activity, we have observation, conversation to produce products. And then learner's activity, we have discovery, explanatory analysis, and application. From 9:30 to 9:35, we shall have introduction. We have already said that these learners have looked at life processes. So a teacher shall review the lesson by asking learners to define life processes and give examples. And learners shall review the previous lesson by raising their hands to define a life process as a process that makes living organisms live. And then give examples of life processes: excretion, growth, etc. That will be taking 5 minutes of the lesson by the teacher, picking hands from each and every corner of the class. Then from 9:35 to 10, that is around 25 minutes. 25 minutes will be for the lesson development. And in this lesson development, a teacher shall write a new topic of cells on the book, on the chalkboard, shall form groups in class and ask learners to discuss in their groups what they know about cells. After forming groups, the teacher shall move in around the class to monitor how learners are discussing in their groups, to ensure that there is no noise in class, to ensure that each member of the group is participating, and to ensure that where learners find difficulty, the teacher can help learners to understand their discussion. The teacher shall also guide learners on how to present their views when they are presenting, and a teacher shall harmonize the views of the learners from their discussions. And then the learners will write the new topic of cells in their books. From the books, they will from writing the topic on the books, they will form groups, mixing randomly boys with girls. They will discuss in their groups what they understand by the term cells. They will give their views in their group discussions, and after that, a teacher shall harmonize their discussions from different groups, and then the learners will write down the main points in their books from the teacher's harmonization. And then a teacher will allow 2 or more students to come and pick the teaching aids which will be assembled in front of the class, to use their knowledge and understanding from the harmonization of the teacher's talk, to use the teaching aids to describe what the cell is, where it is found, and how cells originate. And a learner using bricks will be able to explain that a cell is a building block, and another learner using animals, a fellow learner will be able to indicate that cells are found in animals, and then another learner should be able to identify that cells are found in plants using examples of plants. And the teacher shall harmonize the learners' descriptions according to their understanding, and shall be able to define a cell, origin of cell, types of cell, and where cells are found. That will mark the lesson development, and learners will be able to write down all main points from what the teacher has finalized and discussed with them and harmonized, so that learners can get some points where they can easily extract their meanings and they go and make their own notes. Since this is a competence-based curriculum, we don't give notes, as it is from National Ministry of Education and Sports. Then from 10 to 10:05, the teacher shall evaluate the lesson by asking learners to describe the origin of cells, to define the cell, and to explain what would happen if there are no cells in the body of organisms. The learners shall attempt the exercise, shall hand in their books for marking, and the teacher shall mark sample books of some learners. And from 10:05 to 10 minutes past 10, the teacher shall conclude the lesson by asking learners to define a cell, briefly describe origin of cells, and give a simple task for them to take home. Learners shall define a cell, by raising up hands, and the teacher selects. Learners shall give origin of cells and shall give types of cells are animal and plant cells. The teacher shall record the students who are present by asking the learners to check their neighbors and see who is absent, and then counting the number of students who have attended the lesson, and the teacher shall conclude the lesson. Thank you so much for listening.